What's up YouTube? Capital G here. New Sacred Beast support cards just got revealed coming out of the Sacred Beast structure deck, and we are going to break them down in this video. It looks like Konami is doing some interesting things with the Sacred Beast deck, including giving them a way to have an 8,000 attack monster, which that's pretty spicy if you ask me. The first monster we're going to talk about is the new version of Raviel. I don't know if Konami is going to remake all three of the Sacred Beast, but Raviel so far is getting a second form. This is Raviel, Lord of Phantasms, Shimmering Scraper. These names are very, very long. Anyways, this is a Dark Fiend monster, level 10, because the Sacred Beast monsters are all level 10. 4,000 attack, 4,000 defense, same stat line as the original Raviel. Cannot be normal summon / set, must be special summon from your hand by attributing 3 monsters. Your first and second effects are both hard once per turn. Your first effect is very, very interesting on this card. It says you can discard this card, and this is a quick effect by the way. Target one Raviel, Lord of Phantasms you control, that's a cost. For the rest of the turn, its attack is doubled. Also can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. Second effect says if this card is in your graveyard, you can tribute one monster, that's a cost. Add this card to your hand. So, if you ever wanted to have an 8,000 attack, Sacred Beast monster, there you go. Essentially, this is like honest on super crack, because not only is it going to double the attack of your Raviel on field, that monster is going to be an 8,000 attack monster that can attack all your opponent's monsters. This feels like basically like your win condition now for Sacred Beast. A lot easier than going into their fusion monster that has 10,000 attack and how difficult that thing always was to summon. Raviel isn't the hardest monster in the world to get on the field. I've done it a couple of times. There's been a couple of duels where I have dropped multiple Sacred Beasts on the field. It is kind of nice that you can turn them to 8,000 attack and potentially one-shot your opponent, or maybe even two-shot them if you have to attack multiple monsters. This card I kind of like, and it's, a quick effect. So if your opponent for some reason attacks into a 4,000 attack Raviel, you could use it during their turn. People don't do that. The next monster for the archetype, in my opinion, fixes one of the biggest problems with Sacred Beast, which is consistency. This is Dark Beckoning Beast. It's a level 2 Dark Fiend monster, 0 attack and 0 defense. Your first effect is a hard once per turn, and it says when this card is normal summoned, you can add one Uriah, Haman, or Raviel, or one card that specifically lists any of those names in its text from your deck to your hand, except another copy of Dark Beckoning Beast. The second effect says during your main phase, you can normal summon one Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense. In addition to your normal summon / set, you can only gain this effect once per turn. Okay, so basically, what they're trying to do with that second effect, because this is essentially like a Rhoda for the entire archetype. If this card is normal summon, it can add any of your Sacred Beast cards. It can add Fall in Paradise, which is the field spell for the archetype. Fall in Paradise, side note, is still a really good card. It turns all your Sacred Beast into untargetable monsters, and it lets you draw 2 cards if you have a Sacred Beast monster on your field, which is nuts. But the main thing about this card is it searches Dark Summoning Beast from your deck, and it allows you to instantly tribute summon for the Dark Summoning Beast. So basically, this card off of its normal summon is a Sacred Beast monster. Like as long as you don't get Ash Blossomed or Called by the Grave or Disrupted, something like that, basically you just normal summon, search Dark Summoning Beast, tribute for the Dark Summoning Beast, and then tribute the Dark Summoning Beast for its effect. Then you just get one of your Sacred Beast monsters out. Now unfortunately, with the effect of Dark Summoning Beast, you don't get a battle phase. Otherwise this shit would be like way easy to OTK your opponent. But I definitely think that it makes the deck, like, it gets your Sacred Beast monsters out way quicker. Now you don't have to rely on crap like Stygian Street Patrol and a bunch of random stuff. Now you just can normal summon and get a Sacred Beast monster out. I really like this card if you already have Fallen Paradise on the field, because now you're normal summoning, you're getting a Sacred Beast, and you're drawing 2 cards as well. And hopefully, if your Sacred Beast lasts a turn, you could potentially try to kill your opponent during the next turn. Next up is a continuous spell card for Sacred Beast. This is Cerulean Skyfire. The first effect says to special summon Haman, Lord of Strike Striking Thunder, that's the yellow one for those of you who don't know. Using its own procedure, you can send face down spells you control to the graveyard instead of face up continuous spells or any combination of both. Second effect, once per turn, when an opponent's activated spell / trap or effect resolves, while you control an attack position Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder, you can negate that effect, then switch your Haman you control to defense position. Third effect, if Uriah of Searing Flames, Haman Lord of Striking Thunder, or Raviel you control leaves the field, you take no damage for the rest of the turn. Man, this card was so close to being a competent, legitimate asset to the Sacred Beast archetype, but I feel like Konami missed the mark on this card. Let me just say, I'm not a very big fan of Konami making cards that are specifically made to support one Sacred Beast. They're all fairly interchangeable except Uriah. That card's fucking terrible, but Raviel and Haman are fairly interchangeable. They're just basically like 4,000 attack vanillas. The reason that I was perfectly fine with the new version of Raviel is because it made your Raviel 8,000 attack and it could attack all monsters. Basically, it's a win condition. So if you're going to give me an easy win condition, I'll take that. With this card, I don't really like the first effect. I mean, yes, it technically makes Haman easier to summon, but to my knowledge, there still isn't a way to actually search your Haman out. So you're relying on you hard drawing the Haman. And even if you're attributing 3 face down spells, like that's still really shitty. The entire reason that Sacred Beasts suck is because giving up 3 cards to summon 1 monster is just not a very good exchange in Yu-Gi-Oh! Unless you're getting like a ridiculously strong monster that has negation, things like Appaloosa, or cards that just end the game like Brawl Sword Dragon. The second effect is really what could have saved this card, which is the Spell and Trap negation. That could have been amazing because it could have made it where you're summoning your Sacred Beast off a Dark Summoning Beast. It could have given you some defense during your opponent's turn, considering you can attack with the Sacred Beast and kill your opponent that turn. The problem is it only works with Haman. Now, it kind of feels like, all right, well, we're kind of forced into going into Haman if we want to get that negation, and that's something that I'm not really a fan of. I feel like it should have worked with any of the Sacred Beast monsters. I don't understand why they would lock it specifically into Haman. The third effect is okay, I guess. Like if any of your Sacred Beast cards leave the field, it means that you 100% can't die that turn. Like that's fine. It's a little bit of a safety net for the game state, I guess. But honestly, if the second effect would have just worked with any of the Sacred Beasts, I think I would have been on board with this card, because that's the effect that I would probably use most, is just the negation to negate my opponent's extravagance or twin twisters or whatever common, spell or trap they're going to throw at me. Your final card is Hyperboles. This is a continuous trap card with 3 effects. To special summon Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames, and I'm just going to point this out. Uriah is by far the worst of the Sacred Beasts. I've actually played the deck. It's so terrible, you really, really never want to actually summon him. Using its own procedure, you can send face down traps you control to the graveyard instead of face up ones, or any combination of both. Second effect, when an attack is declared involving your Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames, you can send 1 trap from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Its attack / defense becomes 1,000 times the numbers of traps on your field and in the graveyards for the rest of the turn. And then the third effect says once per turn, you can discard 1 card. That's a cost. Take 1 Uriah, Haman, or Raviel from your graveyard and either add it to your hand or special summon it, ignoring summoning conditions. The third effect I actually like. Being able to just ignore actually summoning these big bastards is pretty much the best way of summoning your Sacred Beast. That's the reason why Dark Summoning Beast is by far the most consistent way of getting them on the field. And if you're telling me that you're essentially giving them a Call of the Haunted that ignores summoning conditions, that's actually pretty good. Also, you can use it turn after turn after turn. You can use this during the battle phase and you can attack with that monster, which makes using the whole Raviel thing a lot easier. The only problem is, how do you really get the Sacred Beasts in the graveyard outside of just summoning them? Outside of, I guess, using like dangers and discard fodder, there kind of needs to be an additional card. Like, I don't really love the first and second effects on this card because, as I said before, I don't ever want to summon Uriah. It's the worst Sacred Beast, so fuck that. But I do like the Call of the Haunted type effect. It definitely feels like, being able to get the Sacred Beast on field without actually summoning them like the proper way is always going to be a good thing. Overall, I really love the first two cards that we talked about, the monsters. The spell and the trap, if they would have just combined them into one card, that would have been insane. But I feel like they have 3 effects on both of them, but only like one of the effects is actually good. Anyways, whatever you guys think of the new Sacred Beast support, leave it in the comment section below. I mean, we still got like 3 or 4 more cards, so maybe Konami can get the archetype back on track. And I mean, right now it's just going to be a fun 4 deck. It's not going to be a competitive deck or anything like that, but at least they got, you know, a new cheese win condition with an 8,000 attack Raviel. That could be kind of fun. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on the notification bell for daily videos.